An adjudicator considering any complaints of the unfairness of equality of a restitutionary measure should bear closely in mind the individual's disappointment cannot lightly be overweight, that the overarching social necessity for transformation in South African workplaces. And that ties in with the Department of Employment and Labour's presentation earlier about transforming the workplaces as well. Evaluation of the word fairness of an equity measure is done on a case-by-case basis, but it's sensitive also to the contents and nuances of proven facts. So we deal with it very sensitively, even at the CCMA, when it comes to unfair discrimination, harassment, any issues like that. At the CCMA at the moment, it's a sensitive issue for us. If we find any applicant clients walking into our offices, we literally take them to either a separate room and we get a designated commissioner to deal with it because we understand how sensitive these issues are. The municipality judgment also, the eThekwini municipality judgment, consider that an employer may also have recourse to the argument to further substantiate a rationally implementing equity measures. For example, the need to attain demographic targets to attain BBEE scores in terms of preferential procurement laws and sectoral codes. And in such a case, the external effect of an employer's failure to apply a restitutionary measure will likely far outweigh the external effect on the employee's feelings. The Labour Court, very long, the Labour Court also held that the following fairness, see that word fairness, considerations rebut the presumptions created by rationally, as mentioned above, the realistic prospects of finding a suitable candidate to fill positions from within the ranks of the underrepresented groups. The number of times an aggrieved employee has been assessed as the highest scoring candidate, but has been denied the post. Please note of that. Third one, the negative effect on an individual's dignity in being rejected based on an attribute such as race, gender is compounded, but the more often in the career of the same employer that happens. Imagine how that person feels now, because it can be a contributing factor of the morale in the workplace if a person has applied not just once, but twice for positions and has been declined for those positions. Program director standing up, is that the timing? I just want to check, is that the 5 minutes time? Okay. So very interesting. From the CCMA, if we do have handouts for our presentation. Yeah? There is handouts. If you can, through the Department of Employment and Labour's office, request a handout of the Department of Employment and Labour. We do have handouts where all the case law, summaries of the case law are presented to you. So please, if you want a copy of the CCMA, it's not the presentation, but a handout similar to the presentation, we're more than happy to send you such. So, Mr. Issa, if I could just do the last one, and then we will, if that's okay. One more, which is a promotional dispute, very interesting, if that's okay. SAPS versus Mr. Nkambule and others. Very interesting matter. I don't want to rush this one because, oh, okay, thank you. Is it fair? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to pause there for a second. As I said, that you're more than welcome to engage with us even further. I'm going to give over to the program director, but please, we can engage more. Send a request for the handouts where the rest of the document will unfold and unpack. And please, we can engage further on this. Thank you.
Because I know him, anybody who stays in the northern suburbs, he He has his own church. It starts at 11 o'clock on Sunday. If you want to continue with the conversation, doors are open. You saw his hands go. I got confused where I am. Just while I was sitting here, I reminded I know somebody whose birthday it is today. Somebody that works with us. And I thought, just because I also need some time here in front because other people do all time. Zodwa's birthday today. Zodwa, can you stand up? We want to sing for you. She refuses to stand up. I say, can you give her instructions, please? Okay, back to the serious business. We still have, how many do we have online? Only 2. Oh.
We have 6, but
We had 8 before he started. Can we read it too? And we'll ask the CCMA, there's a principal, vice principal, they all have to learn. Can we read it to me? You got it? Are they not related to CCMA? Okay. Can we just first get, then from the floor, any questions on the CCMA? Oh, no, I'm down this side. No, I'm here. Any hands? CCMA? My operators. Those evaluation forms of the CCMA, can I please all have them because I have to mark them based on the presentation.
We slowly get to around presentation. We have to what does the email say? How we enforce it? Because the email down the front, and you know that from then is the global. Really look at the messages from that. They are not speak about that. And that's where we get our reports. And I think that the beginning of this actually could be like this. How relevant because of the kind of find this. It's quite another one that we about having gets to start. Much like it's much like all others. What would be the guide of the next defining goals? Thank you.
Thank you. Just one request. Somebody's going to be famous. The people online can't hear you. And they are asking if you can come here and ask the question, please.
Morning, Austin. My question is saying the Employment Equity Act is not explicit around issues of gender and race. And we're slowly getting a challenge in terms of completing our EEA1 forms around racial classification, because there's a challenge there. So the Act does not define race in line with the growing global issues around race and gender. And the Act does not define gender as well. And now there's a case which I saw here, which spoke around gender, and the person was not appointed because of race. So the question is, how do we then use the Act as a remedy to those two challenges? Thank you.
Anybody with a final question? I'm told I am ignoring that side. Are we good? We good? There's one more in the middle. Maybe because he knew he's gonna come stand in front, he wants to. yeah. No, he must come here.
Good afternoon. My question is going to be short. Just perhaps the CCMA, just to clarify us, because the Act talks in terms of Section 6, and perhaps maybe the Department of Labor will also maybe chip in and clarify. It talks about other arbitrary grounds, which are not necessarily explicitly explained in the Act. If perhaps you can assist us, because we know we fight every day with the employers and trade unions, what are those arbitrary grounds, so that we can get a better understanding, so that we don't go and fight with Commissioner Landon on arbitration.
So I guess that is for Commissioner Landon. You can come forward and answer that one, and then Mr. Galipe, the second one. Anybody from the CCMA? Okay.
Thank you. I think the first question, I'm not purporting to represent the CCMA here, I'm not a commissioner. But the first question is, if there's a shortcoming in the law is not defining this, is not clear in this, there are two things that we need to do. The first one is to convince first us, the bureaucrats, that this shortcoming. If we agree with you, then we put an amendment, it goes on to the law with all the process that takes in the law. You will also speak to your MP, then we can put members, amendment, the law, but you can also go to court, just like the Chinese did it. Remember, in terms of the definition of black, it says black is African, Indian color. That's what the law says. The Chinese went to court because they argued that in terms of the industrialization, the old act, classification act, in that act, they were classified as color. Now, in the Employment Equity Act, in the definition of an employee, they are not included. And the court agreed and said we must treat them the same way they were treated by that law, the classification one. Therefore, they are included as part of the color group. They would court on that. Therefore, if there's any shortcoming in the law, the power is in the citizen's hand, either through agitation and lobbying for the change that you want to make, the parliament to make it, or you go to court to clarify the law. As I said, the Chinese made that example of the challenge in the law. We can't yet say to you, when you raise a technical issue in the law, this is how it's done. this is how we should do it, because that's not the law. What I say is not the law. It is a shortcoming. Only the court or the change of the law can deal with that. I'm trying to get that technical question that the committee was asking to deal with that issue. Now, on the second issue, the colleague was raising this one, remember, well, arbitrary ground. It's arbitrary ground. Arbitrary ground is anything that is not listed. That's what is important. But the courts have also pronounced on that issue. In that, even if it's not listed, it must be linked to the listed ground. You understand? If I want to say that I've been discriminated arbitrarily because I'm too fat or too thin or too long years, I've got to be able to link that to one of the listed grounds. It does not stand on its own. If the question was that our intention? That was not the intention. But that's how the court interpreted the law, and that's the law now. Therefore, whatever arbitrary ground that you have, you've got to be saying when you go to the CCMA, I'm putting a case on arbitrary ground. This is what has happened. It's linked on this listed ground. You could say on gender, discrimination, all the listed ground. You can't raise it on its own. I tried to the commissioner. Thank you. If the commissioner wants to add, if I've missed out anything. Thank you.
Okay. The online room. Two. Only two. And then it's it. Okay.
There's one question I say. If a business is, according to the amendments when gazetted, now non-designated, however, they still require the EE compliance certificate, open bracket, national minimum wage, and the CCMA requirements, close bracket. How will they deregister from the EEA2 and EEA4 reporting, etc., if they cannot officially deregister using the EEA14? My concern is on the Dell side. Is that on the Dell side, the business will still be seen as a designated? You got it? Okay, then one more. And then another question says, okay, this is a follow-up question. She's saying, the answer regarding the sectoral targets not meeting 100% was not answered clearly. For example, if only 30% of the targets are regulated by the sectoral targets, does that mean that the remaining 70% is left to the discretion of the employer?
Bring the calculator in.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the EA14. I think Robert clarified it very well. If you are a non-designated employer, you have less than 50 employees. When the amendments comes into effect, it's better not to deregister now because you still need a certificate of compliance. Even if you don't do business with government. Somebody said to me, I don't care about the state contract. But then later somebody said to me, David, other people that I do business with, they want to do business with someone in good standing, they will still require the certificate of compliance. Otherwise, they are not going to do business with me because I'm non-compliant with the employment duty. So Robert's advice was that don't send us the EA14 to deregister, even when the amendment comes into effect. And for 2023 EE reporting, if you are a small employer and you are designated because of you meet the annual turnover threshold outlined in Schedule 4, you will be designated to report in 2023. So you can't use the EA14 to deregister. The amendments are not effective. I need to repeat it. Robert said, there are other circumstances that will be impacting on your business. You've been bought over by another company. You don't exist now as a designated employee. And you are a small business. You can use the EA14 to deregister. Because you're no more going to be able to exist as an independent registered entity because you've been bought over or you become insolvent. Let us know so that we don't keep you open on our database because your company is no more. So you can still use the EA14. I think that is clarified. There's no confusion now. The second issue that I want to deal with, how come the targets were not adding up to 100%? Let's clarify this. And I think Mr. Mokalpo also explained. These are targets. How can they add up to 100%? They are not your total workforce at a particular level. Remember your total workforce as presented by the chairperson per occupational level. That picture that you saw on the 23rd annual report, it takes into account white people, white males and white females, and foreign nationals. Remember, white males and foreign nationals are non-designated, but they are part of your total workforce at each particular level. That's why they will end up to 100%. But the proposed targets, if you look at them carefully, it was saying to you, for each sector, let's say in top management, you need to be 30% black in 5 years. And all that it says is that, remember, the white people are already overrepresented across all levels, except the semi-skilled and unskilled level. But their EAP is 8%. And it never said, because we are saying 35% black in agriculture and top management, it means that the 65% left is for white people. It never said that. Because we don't know. Each and individual company workforce at each level is different. And even in your own BE scorecards, you had 50% black in top management, senior management to a 60%. Why? What happened? Did we say the other 40% was supposed to be white when we have also foreign nationals, in particular when we deal with multinationals that operate here? Each company workforce is different at each level. And I said you need to conduct a proper workforce analysis when the targets and the amendments comes into play. And you determine how you want to meet the 5-year sector target. If you are below the 5-year sector target at each level, then you must meet the 5-year sector target regulated in 5 years. But if you are already above what the minister has published at a particular level, taking into account your own total workforce at that particular level, then what do? You set targets towards reflecting the EP. Because you cannot regress and go down. We know how to count. The newspapers were saying 10%. The targets are not adding to 100% because we don't know how to count. We know how to count. They were not intended to add up to 100% because those were not your total workforce at each occupational level. I think it's clarified, and we are putting it to rest now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zwaki. Can I please call we have two commissioners. Can I please call Dingy to the podium just to do the vote of thanks for us, please? Thanks.
Thank you, Program Director. Good afternoon, everyone. I think mine is very easy. It's to thank all of you. I think it has been an awesome day. The turnout is really beautiful. It does show that we do want to get it right. And that's what we need to reflect on. We spent time today reflecting on the year that was. I think the chair of the commission did an excellent job just reflecting on the numbers for the past, year. And they're not good. And they do tell a story of why we need to have better strategies going forward. They do tell a story why we need the sectoral targets. And then Zwaki did a great job also just sharing what's coming in terms of the sectoral targets. But we didn't stop there. We also shared the tools that you might need. For example, Robert shared the tool. And again, the CFA, our partner, didn't disappoint in giving us some practicalities in the case law. And the case law is very important because it continues to test the effectiveness of these instruments for us. And we need to continue doing that all the time. When we can, we need to test this law and make sure that it's effective. But I do want to say that as a commissioner, sometimes my heart just gets very heavy when we talk numbers, talk tools, talk what is designated, 1 to 49 employees, what if it's 51? I think we need to try and reflect on what are we trying to do here. We're trying to transform the South Africa's labor force. And it's a noble idea. And I'm going to talk specifically to business because I am the commissioner that was nominated by business. So we leave a lot of money on the table as business by not transforming. We can have coffee over this discussion, but I mean it. When we're not true to transformation, and maybe let me not use the word transformation because it does evoke certain feelings. When we don't do social justice, just humanity, we have a country that is really, really desperate for social justice. Employment is just another tool for it. Let's unpack what it's trying to do and let's see what it can do for our businesses. We see it in our companies, we see it in our organizations. When we have boardrooms that have one because I happen to be a sprinkle somewhere as well. I'm literally a sprinkle in that cappuccino. So it's not effective. And it's not how the boardroom looks. It's the perspectives in the boardroom. It's the value add in the boardroom. When there is no diversity, when there is no diversity in the teams. So we're not doing employment equity for numbers and, like we look. It's to make sure that we've got diverse teams. Diverse teams are more innovative. They progress companies. They bring products and services that can speak to the community, to the population and the customer base that you're looking for. We are not number crunching for number crunching's sake. So really for me as a commissioner, I do this work because really this needs to be different. I need to leave a legacy, but my heart sings when we really focus so much on the compliance and not on the actual intent of the Employment Equity Act. This country, or our boardrooms, our teams need to start looking like how this country looks, and you see the beauty and you see the money in the bag. Because then we'll do products that really reflect and attractive to the customers that are in this country. Back to the thank you. Program director, I think you did well managing us through the day. It was really awesome. We appreciate it. And I do want to thank everyone who's come out here today. You make our role worthwhile as a commission and also as a Department of Employment and Labor. You prove that what we do matters, and you want to hear what we've got to say so that we can meet each other. The beautiful thing about South Africa is that we're an engaging country. And let's continue engaging and making this work for us and for the future of the country. I want to thank again the CCMA. They continue to be our partner in this, and every official from the Department of Labor, and particularly the Secretariat, on behalf of the Commission yet again, and the Directorate of Employment, the Department of Employment and Labor. Thank you so much. And to the organizers and the hotel management, thank you for hosting us today. It's been really successful, and I wish you all a beautiful afternoon. Thank you.
Only fair for me to say the last words. Lunch is served on top. There's a finger lunch on top. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and enjoy the day further.